On this episode, Leslie will take us through the wonderful world of beans, starting with a dip and ending with veggies in a blanket. She will also make an easy bean salad and some delicious hummus. We will have a Ask Leslie question and tell you how you can send in your questions at the end of the show. Now, welcome to Leslie's Kitchen.
We're calling today's episode The Beauty of Beans because they're not only beautiful, but they've got all the fiber and the protein that you need. They're healthy. And if you're familiar with the blue zones, the 5 areas around the world where people live the longest, one thing they have in common is that they all eat beans. One of the great things too is that beans are friendly for your budget. You can buy beans in bulk. You can buy beans in small bags, and you can even buy beans in cans for convenience. If you do buy beans in the can, you might consider the brands that have BPA-free liners, but it's totally up to you. And color, they add so much color and vibrancy. You can get beautiful lentils to add into your recipes, but you can't go wrong with beans, and I recommend them multiple times a week. Typically, your beans should be soaked overnight, but if you don't have time, that's okay. There's a quick soak method, and here's how you do it. You soak the beans or put the beans on the stove and let it come to a boil for 10 minutes, and then put those beans fully covered in water, in that hot water, put aside and let them sit for an hour. And then you can treat them just like they've been soaked overnight or for at least 8 hours. When you cook beans, you want to cook them well done. You never want al dente, especially kidney beans and the larger beans. Be sure you cook them very, very thoroughly, and you'll be happy. This recipe is called Black Bean Dip, and it couldn't be easier. It's from the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, their Power of Food for Cancer Prevention and Survival series. And this is a great book full of beautiful recipes with beans and legumes of all types, plus many, many other colorful recipes. We want to eat from the rainbow, eat as many colors as possible. And this recipe has the beautiful red color of tomatoes mixed with the black beans. We're going to add a little bit of cumin for extra flavor. And with just those 3 ingredients, it couldn't get any easier than this. As a matter of fact, I want to show you that I use canned beans very, very often, but I shop carefully and read the food labels. Make sure you're not buying the regular beans that have too much sodium. If you do have beans with reduced sodium or regular sodium, it's still too high, be sure to rinse the beans. Better yet, try to buy beans that don't have as much salt or no salt added. And if you cook them at home, you have total control, and then you can add salt at the end to taste. So let's get started. This recipe calls for 1 cup of black beans. I'm making it in the food processor today because most of us have food processors. We're going to add that in, and we're going to add 1 cup of your favorite salsa. It doesn't matter whether it's the store brand of jarred salsa, but my favorite is from the deli, the refrigerated. So if you like spicy, go with spicy. If you like mild, go stick with mild. We've got those in, and this is an option, but a little bit of cumin adds not only antioxidants, but a little bit of flavor. We're going to mix this up. And I like to pulse it. You don't want it to be velvety smooth, but you can make it have a little bit of texture if you like. So here we go. Looking good. I'm going to pulse it just a little bit more. If you need to, take a spatula and move it down on the sides. If you like it chunky, leave it chunky. If you like it velvety smooth, then keep on blending. This also works well in a blender. Oh yeah. So, I've left it a little bit chunky on purpose. I'm going to put this in a bowl. It makes a great dip. You can eat crackers with it. It's great to put on spreads. Use as a spread on sandwiches too. And doesn't get any simpler than this. black bean dip. Mm-mm. Our next recipe is again from the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, and they don't call it easy bean salad for nothing. It's a beautiful blend of 3 types of beans, plus, well, more than 3 actually. Let's just get started. It's kidney beans. We're going to add a can that we have rinsed, because remember, you don't want any excess sodium. We're going to add salt as needed, but you want low to no salt added kidney beans that are well cooked. Then we have a cup of pinto beans. Black-eyed peas. You can get these fresh, but they're easy to just open a can and rinse. And then for the edamame, these are wonderful, and they're available in the freezer section. And you can just microwave steam this bag, and there's your edamame. But if you don't have edamame or you like lima beans, they're a great addition to this salad too. If you're going to use lima beans, go for the Ford Hook lima beans preferably. Then it is 1 cup of corn, and the corn can be frozen corn or canned. Remember to watch for no added salt. And I just thawed this and it's ready to add. The next ingredient is a diced red bell pepper. So you're going to get a lot of color, a lot of antioxidants. It makes it beautiful. Last but not least is a diced red onion, half of a medium red onion. I'm going to give this a good toss before we add the magic ingredient, the dressing. But look at these colors. Oh my gosh. Look at these colors. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Another reason I love this dish is because no cooking is required. If you use the canned beans, you just put them in. You can serve this warm or cold. Once you add the dressing, it can stay in your refrigerator for up to a week. Okay, we're going to add the salt and pepper to taste after it, but let's talk a little bit about this dressing. Dressings. If you go down the grocery store aisle and you see the dressings, you are going to see row after row after row of dressings that have a lot of oil in them. The taste and the flavor is down here at the bottom. It's the ingredients, it's the Italian. This is a light Italian, and this is the actual dressing that I first experienced when I was in Washington at the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, when I got to sample this salad for the first time. So one thing that they showed us how to do is to remove the oil. You can get a bowl and you can just, this can be messy. I mean, you can squeeze the bottle and the oil will come out. But a safer, cleaner way to do it is just to get it out with a turkey baster. But there's no need to have the oil. Just get rid of it, throw it away. Your flavor, oh, got a little bit of the dressing. Your flavor and most of the goodness is in the vinegar and in the spices. So rather than shaking up all that oil, remove the oil and then give it a good shake. That goes for even healthy vinaigrettes. Anytime you see vinaigrette, it means that there's going to be oil in it. So better yet, make your own dressing, but if you enjoy certain dressings, go ahead and use them, just remove the oil first. This calls for about a half a cup of dressing. I'm just going to pour this in, give it a toss, and then add the salt and pepper and season it to your taste. But the colors are gorgeous. This is a great salad to take to a party because it's so colorful. And like I said before, it's great to keep in the fridge because it'll last up to a week. and I think you're gonna love it.
The question is, Leslie, we have to address the elephant in the room. Beans and gas. What can you tell us about that?
Plenty. Seriously, if people are not used to eating beans, then they might have a little bit more gas in the beginning. It does get better. And if you're not used to eating beans, you should start with smaller beans like lentils or aduki beans, small beans in smaller quantities, and work your way up. Also, cooking the beans is important. One option is to cook beans with kombu in the water or dulse, some type of sea vegetable. That helps change the enzymes. Also, it's important that you always remember to soak your beans before cooking and pour away the water that your beans soaked in and pour away the water that your beans cooked in, with the exception of the chickpeas. That aquafaba is like liquid gold. You want to hold that back. We're going to talk more about that later in the episode. Beano, so that's a nice solution. But embrace it. It's natural, it's part of a healthy digestion, and don't let it cause too many problems. There are so many wonderful varieties of beans, and this is just a handful. The large fava beans are very, very popular. You've got regular fava beans. I didn't even know, but you can get baby fava beans. Rice beans I'd never even heard of before, but you've certainly heard of black-eyed peas. They make you lucky on New Year's Day. Pinto beans are popular, not only for baked beans, but great for making refried beans. Of course, navy, the sweet white bean. Mung beans, they're very popular for making bean sprouts. The adzuki bean is like a miniature kidney bean. And of course, the versatility of the garbanzo beans or chickpeas can't be matched. That's a great way to make hummus and salads. We'll be talking more about salads later in the year. Black turtle beans are very popular in Mexican cuisine. And of course, you've got the red kidney beans, lupini beans, and an array of wonderful lentils. The green split peas are great to make soup, but I've never heard of, until recently, the black split lentils. You've got your popular or familiar green or brown lentils, but red lentils almost disappear into a broth to give it a lot more rich texture. And the split mung beans for dal are popular in Indian dishes. You've got ivory lentils, and my favorite, the French lentil. It holds its shape as it cooks, and it just gives a lot of extra body to your soups and stews. So experiment, look into buying some heirloom beans, and whether you just want to eat them out of the can or cook them from scratch, they're going to do your body a lot of good. This next recipe is delicious and so simple to make. It's roasted red pepper hummus. Hummus is another example of healthy beans because hummus is made from garbanzo beans or chickpeas. And whether you choose to cook your own beans or just out of convenience, get the can, preferably with low or no sodium, you're going to want to first drain the aquafaba. The aquafaba is the liquid that is in this can because there's a use for that, and I want to tell you a little bit more about that in just a minute. So we add 1 can of garbanzo beans or chickpeas to the blender. Look at this beautiful, beautiful liquid. Aquafaba means water from the beans, and it actually, there's a book, I have a cookbook called Aquafaba. Aquafaba can be made into meringue. It can be used as an egg substitute in recipes, and there are a lot of really, really good uses. Today, we're just going to use the leftover aquafaba to thin out the roasted red pepper hummus a little bit. So we're not going to use all of it, and I'm going to save what's left and freeze it in ice cube trays. So you can freeze it, pop it into a Ziploc bag, and then you have the aquafaba whenever needed for a recipe. The next ingredient for the roasted red pepper hummus is roasted red peppers. Out of convenience, you can just get one of these jars of roasted red peppers that are soaked in water. It needs to be added to the recipe, but last night when I made this, I used real red pepper and I just baked it in the oven. I used the air fryer and I just roasted it till it was beautifully nice color. So feel free to use fresh, and if you're looking for convenience, go ahead and use the jar. That's fine too. The recipe also calls for 1/4 cup of lemon juice, and remember, I've said in previous episodes, it's always healthier to use fresh citrus because you get all the enzymes. So we're going to add that lemon juice to the blender. Next, we need 3 green onions, and I've already cut these. You can use the white and the green. I saved a little bit aside just to use as garnish on top. We also need to have some tahini. Tahini is available in typically the international aisle, and tahini is made from sesame seeds. So it's basically a nut butter, but it adds a rich creaminess to your recipe. This calls for 1 tablespoon. And then garlic. 3 cloves of garlic. If you're using a high-speed blender like a Vitamix, you don't even have to blend it, or you don't have to mince the garlic. If you don't have a high-speed blender, go ahead and mince the garlic in a garlic press or just finely chop it. We also need ground cumin, so a 1/2 teaspoon, 1 teaspoon of ground cumin and a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. I'm going to add a little bit of the aquafaba, but not too much. You can always add more, but you can't take it away. And give it a blend. I think we're good to go. I'm going to need the lid. And I'll probably need the tamper. That's one thing I like about this brand of blender, is that you can use the tamper. Okay, you ready? Here we go. Oh yeah, velvety smooth, and I think I could have even used less aquafaba in there. It's very creamy. And not only does this make a great hummus or a great dip, but we can use it on the veggie rolls or wraps that we're going to make next. Quick, simple, and delicious, and healthy for you. One of the healthiest fats you can eat are avocados, and it's important to figure out when to buy them and you know, when they're ripe and when to use them. It seems like avocados are almost ready, not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet, and then they're overripe. But here's a quick way you can tell. You can take off the little stem, and you want it to be just barely brown, not too dark and not too green. So this one looks perfect. It's got a little bit of give to it. And to cut an avocado in half, very carefully, just cut around the pit and it will slide right open just like that. And then to remove the pit, it's simple. You don't need to dig around. Just take a sharp knife and it twists right out. It's that simple. Now, as far as the avocado itself, There are all kinds of gadgets that can allow you to cut and slice all at once, but you can also do it with a simple knife and a spoon. You don't have to have a gadget for everything you do, but these do make it fun and it makes it easy. And if you're going to make this into guacamole, it's very simple. Just take a ripe avocado, cut it into a bowl. You can even mash it with this same thing or mash it with a fork. Add a little bit of spring onion. I like to use the white parts, and put it in a food processor, let it go, and then you've got your very own guacamole. You can add a few diced tomatoes if you want, or even a few little red onions, finely diced. It's quick and it's simple. This last recipe is tasty and fun. It's great for kids, but it's great for adults too. And we're simply going to make veggie wraps using wraps that I got at the store. And we're going to use the hummus that we made, the roasted red pepper hummus, as a spread. But it's okay to use the store-bought as well. It's just that with the store-bought hummuses, you can get, for convenience, a lot of different varieties. They do have oil in them, and they are fairly high in salt. So it's healthier if you make your own, and you got to see how simple and easy that is. So the first thing we're going to do is spread some of the hummus onto our our tortilla. Be generous. The nice thing about these is that you can cut them into small bite size for taking to a party, or you can just cut it in half, as you'll see when we're finished, and have as a sandwich. Okay, now that we've got the hummus on there, we're just going to sprinkle it with your favorite veggies. I like to put carrots that I've grated. Now, I didn't have any alfalfa sprouts, but that's okay. I found these beautiful microgreens at the store. And you can also put mung bean sprouts. They work well. You can put some strips of cucumber. Spread a little bit of spinach on it. If you like, you can add some, for more color and more healthy additions, add some bell peppers. Whatever your favorite veggies are, but these are my favorite, and it makes it colorful and beautiful. So just give it a roll. And then what I like to do is use a toothpick to hold it together. Now, if this were going to be a sandwich to put on a plate, you could just cut it in half. But if you're going to make it for a party platter like I've done here, put a toothpick every inch or so and then cut them, and you've got a beautiful, beautiful platter. Okay, these are beautiful and delicious. I recommend that if you're making these for a party or to eat later, that you not cut them until you're ready to go. And if you want to put them on a platter like this for the party, you might want to cover it with saran wrap. These are something you want to eat the same day, but make plenty because they're going to be a hit. Thank you everyone for watching Healthy Eating with Leslie. I appreciate your time, and please don't forget to send in your questions and to watch us on Sun City TV on YouTube. You can email your questions to us, request the recipes at suncitytv@gmail.com, or tweet at suncitytvhhi. I hope you enjoy all the recipes I shared today. I'm happy to send you those recipes. And don't forget to love those foods that love you right back. Thanks for watching.